Hey everybody, welcome back to Model Train Outsider, episode 15. I am, as usual, Anthony Dodge.
And I'm that ever happy, ever positive, encouraging 2015 version of him. Come on, show them what you've done. We've got a lot done. Trains. I want to run trains.
And you are, as usual, a nag.
Come on, stop yakking and finish up. Trains.
Anyhow, just want to go straight into it. Have filmed a couple of updates of what I've done last week and this week with the layout.
We can run trains. All you got to do is clean up.
Settle down. We'll get to it. I'm actually at a happy point for a change.
He's got so much done. 5 loops and some of the parking area. He's really been at it this week. Amazing.
Yeah, I am happy.
He never smiles. I'm always smiling.
There, see? A lot of work for me. We had a mini blizzard last weekend, and then we had a warm-up, everything melted, and then we had a deep freeze and everything froze. So driving to work is more like skating to work. So anyhow, what have we done? I have got 5 primary loops in. I've got the 5 running lines in, the 3 full table runs, and then the 2 that just run on the one side. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Pros and cons, I was using AnyRail, and I've always been very high on AnyRail. Laid out the track, everything was measuring perfectly, exactly the way I laid it out, until the other day when I finally got these narrow turnouts, as they're called, and no program, not even what I read about that. And I'm sure somebody will say, hey, right here, if you go to Maryland's site and read this, it'll tell you. Well, since the AnyRail program and the SCARM program were allowing it, it looked like you could join these 2 turnouts, turnout to turnout, without anything special like all the other turnouts I've used over the years, the 3 years since I've been model training. No, you can't. You had to add a special piece into it. You had to add this little short piece to spread out the turnoff from the main line. No program accounted for that. So when I got over to the one side of the table, that threw all the measurements off, and I had to go back, and I actually had 2.5 full lines plus parts of lines 4 and 5 already in, and I had to rip a bunch of things back yesterday and this morning, and I basically had to eyeball everything. You know, sometimes you just got to put your head down at table level, line it up, and just figure out the pieces. It took a little finagling and a few blue words that George Carlin would not approve of. Actually, he used them all the time. I think he would have approved of them. But that's where we're at. So without any further ado, no looking at Maryland track until I get over my anger at these turnout surprises. But it's all in. Tonight, maybe, although I may be ready to just walk away for the day. And tomorrow I will really encourage myself to clean the track. I've got other work I got to do this weekend. I'll encourage myself to clean the track and maybe, just maybe, be able to start running trains tomorrow. But yeah, that's where we're at. So here's what we've done.
Okay, final weekend progress update. I had to clear this side so I could start laying out this area. So I moved all the buildings over, but typical me, I didn't just move them over. I just reset up a village for now. I don't know why, but it's what I do. So I just kind of set my buildings back up over here. This will all get torn down again when I start building the official layout village, the official town of Delmenhorst. But for now, a lot of these buildings will be in it, but a lot of them won't be. But over here, we've been laying in, kind of getting an idea of exactly how the parking area is going to work. Because I have a couple of trains that are 8-9 foot long, and this is a 10-foot table minus the curves and the other tracks. We're going to kind of curl them around and make it look like coming into a large Hauptbahnhof over here, and this old Bahnhof will be replaced, and I'll get one that looks somewhat like the Bremen Hauptbahnhof, or I'll try to custom build a couple. But we're just kind of laying out. There's actually another track that has to come in here. I can't put the third line completely in because I ran out of my radius 3 curve, so I had to order some. Can't run out and buy any because the closest shop is 2 hours away. And that's, especially after the big snowstorm this weekend, that wasn't in the cards. So that's where we're at as of Monday, January 21st. I did also put in a little bit more ballast here just to get an idea. I have to extend it to here, but I'm still adding to the platforms. I've cut some rough shapes here, and I had to order new platform sheets to finish extending the platforms out and finishing them off, and then I'll run this here. I'm waiting for this to dry before I can clean everything up. One suggestion is you put masking tape over the track, and then you don't get the gravel in it, but it's just as easy to vacuum it up, especially if you have a small shop vac. You can kind of reclaim some of it if you do it right. But anyhow, that's where we're at. Quite happy. I did not get a train running. I wanted to get a train running. I'm hoping this coming weekend, but until I can clean a lot of this track up with all the dust and stuff I've been kicking up, it's just going to have to wait.
Okay, it is Saturday, January 26th, about 5:45 in the evening, and this is where I've gotten over the last couple of days, and really since last weekend. But I just put my remaining buildings and that, a lot of changes in the overall plans. The big news is I actually have 5 full loops now. I've got the 3 full table length loops in, and I've got the 2 half loops. I've got 2 loops that are just going to go along this table. They will just curl around here. And I'm doing this because rather than having 2 trains and all kinds of scenics, I'm more into just running lots of trains. Down there, I want to build, that's my goal. My scenic is going to be building the city of Delmenhorst. That's my scenic. I'm not going to have mountains and hills, and I could put tunnels in a couple places just for a scenic break. That's an idea that I have plenty of time to work on should I choose, but my primary goal is to run as many trains. That's what I enjoy, to running as many trains as I can. So what we have here is we have the 3 outer lines, main lines, which circle the whole table. That will represent the high-speed trains and the long-distance regional trains. And then I've got 2 inner loops here, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These inner 2 loops will be the secondary regional trains that don't actually stop at Delmenhorst, but do stop at Bremen and Hanover. And so one of the big changes in plans is I needed a parking area, and originally we were talking about just putting up a slope along the wall, on the wall there, and just widening it out and building a parking area, fiddle yard up above, back in this corner. It just wasn't going to work because this table, as I keep repeating, has to be mobile. And so I've got to work with what I can work with, even though this basement is big, because I elected to make a full town, or at least a large section of a town. Otherwise, I could have 2 lines. I could have done a big circular table as if I were in an attic or a loft and just have the big circuit with a fiddle yard in one area. And I could have put a lot more natural scenics in it. But my goal is to build this town of Delmenhorst that I have lived in for years in Germany and recreate it. So that's on that side. That really limits what I can do. I understand that, and I'm happy with it. And then this side, originally I wanted to be more of a nature break and maybe do some things, but I wanted a parking yard. I did not want to be disconnecting my trains, putting them away, putting new ones out. I wanted a parking area. Originally, the goal was to have the parking area down low. Then, as I mentioned, to go up above. None of those were feasible because under the table, we need storage area. And so what we did was elected to go with just making this my parking area. So I'm going to have a main train station. It'll sort of be a Bremen, Hanover, Hauptbahnhof. It's going to have 10 tracks right here. So this will, quote, be my parking area fiddle yard. So the trains will have to maneuver because, again, I couldn't build a truly realistic access off exit for trains. So to power the entire circuit through my control station, which works very well at this. I have just these switches, these double switches going all the way through. This connects all the tracks to each other coming in, and it allows the power to run through all the track. And so when a train is coming out, it will come out onto the inner lane, and then depending on what lane I want it to work on, it'll switch over to 4, 3, 2, or to the outer lane. And you can see how they'll come into park. They'll come in as if they're coming through a station. And then my turnoffs here will lead to the parking areas. You can see I've got these 3-way turnouts. So I'll have a total of 6 interior. But what they're going to do is they're going to loop back through here, and they're going to form additional areas like you see here. And it's just going to look like Bremen, which has 10 rail lines on it. It has 10 separate rail lines on it. So it would be, I'll have the 10 different platforms, which you can see I just measuring out here, making sure things line up correctly, and we'll just keep repeating it. The last one will be very narrow, but this will allow me to have 5 trains running and 6 trains parked. Since I have only 9 or 10 trains, that covers all my trains. And I will have the ability to create an additional branch off and just create side parking. But for now, this is going to be the main train station. Will be about right here, maybe a little bit over. I'll build a little city area in front here as well. In the corners here, I will create, where the tracks all diverge different ways, I will create scenic breaks and sort of like farming scenes there. But I'll have Delmenhorst here, a little bit of a pseudo Bremen Hanover section here. But I've got 5 lanes in, and hopefully tomorrow on Sunday, I'm going to clean all these tracks down, and I will test run some trains. But that's where I'm at on the layout. So I've got 5 full lanes in. I just ran out of track. I have to order track. I need a bunch more of my radius 2 curves, because I don't like to use radius 1. Radius 2 is the narrowest I'll go. And these Austrian railjet cars, you can see here, just to fit everything in, there's a tight area here. This is my tightest area, but they definitely clear by at least 1/4 of an inch or more. So I think I'll be happy with that. And like I said, I'll have 5 trains running like I did before I tore everything down. Now it's just a question of building Delmenhorst as I can, buying the right model, because I'm not going to custom build. I'm going to buy a Fowler model kit that looks kind of like the Bremen, Hanover, Hauptbahnhof, and I'll just kind of create a pseudo one. But Delmenhorst is going to be 100% accurate. Some of these buildings here are for Delmenhorst. Others will either go into my classroom or I'll give them away. But I guess I'm pleased. I'm disappointed I had to eliminate the idea of the river here and the bridges, just because to get these pieces in, that's one thing, I guess, if I want to share an aggravation, because you can look here where I had to tear out some things. I had everything laid in and was coming around this way to line up, and these were lining up nice and straight, but I was waiting for these these narrow turnouts to come in, and nothing said you actually had to add a piece to it. When I was doing the programming, the American track programming, it said I could connect them straight to each other. You can't. You actually had to put a small piece, a 71 millimeter piece between the two to join them together, or to even connect any other track to them. That threw off all my measurements into this corner, even though I had everything lined up and already had it in, except for where these had to go. I had left the space and was very happy with it lining up to just where these 4 go right here. And it really aggravated me. You can see here's the 1, here's the 2, and then 3, 4. These 4 were special order pieces, and nothing I had read said that you had to add this additional piece in it, and that threw all the measurements off a bit. So I had to tear this all out, scrape it all down, and reline this track the last couple of days after I was like, hey, I've got 3 lines almost done. I had 2 full lines going around because I was just waiting to connect these 4 coming in to join the shorter tracks to the 2 outer longs and then finish the 3rd. And then all of a sudden I had to tear everything back, rip this all out, and I had actually nailed and screwed some things in. Oops. But anyhow, aggravation aside, I'm going to take a rest here. I've been working on this for a few hours. Since I'm out of track, I've got a few more straights, but I need curves right now. You can see I've kind of set up ready for the next set of curves, and then they're going to curve around here, and there's going to be 4 more curves running right in here. So the last one's going to be kind of narrow, but there it is.
So I hope you enjoy the progress I've done. If so, hit a like. Hey, drop a comment. Just say hello, whatever. That's all I'm after. I'm out here looking for people to talk to. Subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook and get a little bit more detailed without the rambling. But we'll see you back for episode 16 next week. Bye.
All he has to do is clean up. Just clean up and I can run trades. The trains I wanted to run.